Hello everybody, what is up? It is CyberGolf here with another video, and welcome to the second installment of the CSGO multi-hack series. In today's video we're going to be making a trigger bot for CSGO, and this is going to be pretty simple to make, especially if you followed the last tutorial for the aimbot. We're going to be drawing a lot of elements from that we've made previously. Anyways, let's hop right into it. Just to reiterate what I said in the last installment, we're going to be making a multi-hack in this series. In the last episode of this series we'll go over how to make this undetected. This is going to have many features. It's going to be very detailed with these tutorials. Keep in mind there will be a download link to the .exe on gameofrussell.club in each video along with the code, and there's going to be new episodes every week. Feel free to save the playlist down in the description if you want to keep up to date with all the new episodes coming out and if you don't want to have to search for each new episode. Before getting into coding, I would highly recommend disabling Valve anti-cheat VAC just to develop safely, because you don't know what's going to happen. It'd even be best to just make a second Steam account since CSGO is free, just to test on and all of that. Alright, so open up your IDE. I'm using Visual Studio's Community 2017, but 2019 is out. You can download that if you have not already. I just really had no reason to update it. Now we're going to head over, we're going to make a new project in File, New Project. And we'll make this Visual C++ because our language will be C++. Make sure you select empty project just so we can avoid precompiled headers and all the nonsense that comes along with that. We will name this something like triggerbot. And then you can save it to whatever location you want. That's just my default location. And we'll hit OK. Alright, so since we did do empty project, there's going to be nothing here. Come over to source files, right click, add, new item, and add a C++ file. Alright, so right here we're going to include all of our preprocessor directives, iostream, windows.h, which is where we'll access the read process memory function and things to open handles such as that. The T1 help 32 header, which we will use for mostly the get module base address process or function. Right here, instead of doing offsets.h as a header file, I just did this to simplify things because a lot of you seem confused from last video. And do keep in mind these will be outdated. Even right now CSGO needs an update, and I'm afraid to update it until the end of this video in case the offsets do get updated, but updated offsets should be on Haze-Dumper within a day or two. So do make sure you do that if you're watching this video in a week or a month or even a year. So to update them, just simply copy this name right here, head over, Control F to find, paste that in, grab the new address, and just put it there, and boom, you're updated. Alright, so right here, let's actually define all of our global variables. Let's declare our global variables. So here we have the module base. We'll store the module base right there for client underscore panorama.dll. Proc ID, which is PID, process ID. Right here we have dword for proc ID, which is PID. You'll see it sometimes. It's just the process ID. We have this for the window, HWND, which will get the window for Siege, CSGO. And then we have a handle that we make for creating a tunnel of communication between us and the game itself. So let's actually paste in some of these functions here. I'm going to paste this right here, and do keep in mind this will be on gameofrussell.club along with all of the code. This is just a function we use a lot for getting the module base address. And if you get an error, make sure you're set as x86 as your architecture. And also your properties are set to .exe, which they should be automatically, and make sure your character set is set to multi-byte. Also, you may need to update the Windows SDK. You can just do that by clicking here and selecting the SDK you have installed. If you don't have any SDK, just feel free to install the version I have. Also, you might need to update your platform toolset. Sorry, I'm pretty tired when recording this video. Alright, so right here we have our template, and this template just makes using the read process memory function, which is a part of the windows.h header, much more simple. So this is a read process memory template. Again, that will be on GRC along with all the code in this video. Now let's start off by making a uint pointer underscore t, which is a nice way to store addresses for both x86 and 64. Now we'll name this get local player because it will be getting the local player, and we will return, and right here we're going to be using the RPM template that we made just to simplify everything, and we're going to return the module base, which we'll actually define that later, plus this DW local player address. Alright, boom, that's out of the way. And I'm going to copy and paste that just to make things simpler. Now here we're going to be actually getting player because this will get ourselves, but we also want to be able to grab the enemies information. So we're going to be doing get player, and we need to set index because different enemies have different index values. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we will do RPM. This again is going to be a module base, but instead we're going to be doing plus the entity list, and then we're going to add the index in just so we know what enemy we're going to be looking at, and then the hexadecimal value of 10 because that's space in between all the addresses and that good stuff. Now we're going to make it int this time because team is going to be a value like 2 or 3. So we'll make a thing called get team just so we only shoot our enemies. We don't want to be putting bullets in our teammate's head with the triggerbot. Now get team, we're going to make this a uint pointer underscore t, and we'll pass in the player that we want to get the team of into this function. So we put in a player, and then it gives us in return the team they're on. So we're going to return RPM, and this will be an int. So this will be player plus then the team. So boom. Now if you were from last video, there's a lot less functions that we're making just because this is quite simple compared to aimbot. And at the end of all these videos, we'll combine each project into one big project, but for each video or each episode, we're going to be making a new project. Feel free to add this to your own and make a big one yourself, but this is just for simplicity so we don't have a lot of messy code. So int get team. Now we're going to need to do int get crosshair ID. So this will get the entity name or entity integer of whoever we're looking at. So again, we're going to be passing in the address of the player that we want to get. So right here we will do another return RPM template, and this will just be player plus this define we have up here for crosshair ID. Alright, all those functions are out of the way, so we can actually jump into the main right now. So we have int main hwnd is equal to, now here we're going to be defining these globals that we made up here. So find window a function is what we'll be using for this. This first value or this first parameter will pass in null, and then right here actually we are going to put in the string for the window name of CSGO. So right here we'll just be storing the window of CSGO itself, and you can see CSGO's name is Counter-Strike Global Offensive, and that's the reason we have that there. Now here we will actually be getting the process ID, so get window thread process ID, and we'll put in the window, and then we'll save this by passing as a reference the proc ID, and we defined that up here earlier. Now here we'll be doing the module base, pretty important. So we'll use this function that if you were, we pasted in earlier. So get module base address, and then here we will put simply the name of the DLL. So we'll be accessing, since CSGO's the way it's built, they do DLLs. All the stuff we'll be accessing is in the client underscore panorama.dll. Alright, next we're going to actually open up a handle, and this will be our way of communication. So we'll use the open process function, and right here we'll give ourselves all access just for the uses of this video. So process underscore all access, and this means we have the ability to both read and write memory. And then we'll put in the proc ID just so we know what we're giving ourselves access to as the process ID of CSGO. Alright, now we'll do a while loop, and this exclamation point means while not. So as long as we don't get async, as long as we don't press the key VK underscore end, so that's the end key, you can actually see that. It should be on most of your keyboards right under the home button, and this is going to be the way we exit. We just press end. You can change that button along with all virtual keys to whatever you want. Just head over to a website like this. Again, this link will be on gamereversal.club on the post, and you can just paste in, you know, the virtual keys if you want to use a different one. Alright, so let's actually make a integer. So we'll do crosshair ID first, and we'll set this to, we'll be using our function, so get crosshair ID. So we're going to be getting the crosshair ID, whatever we were looking at, of ourselves, since we want to get what we're looking at, not what random people are looking at. And then we'll do another integer, so get crosshair team. So we want to get the team of whoever we're looking at, so we don't end up shooting our teammates. So we'll use this get team function that we made, and we'll put in get player. So we're going to be getting the player, and then how we know what player, we need to pass in an index, as you can see if you remember from defining that. So for our index, we'll actually put in the crosshair ID, and then just subtract 1 from that. Right here, I actually did make a mistake. I put get local. This should be get player, and that error should go away. Yep, we're all good. All right, so let's continue. Int local team is equal to, then we need to get the team of ourselves so we know what team we're on. So we'll just get the team, and then for whose team we're getting, well, we're going to get our team. So get local player. All right, all that is out of the way. So now we can do our logic. Feel free to start testing right here. Just make sure you got the values right. You can do std standard console output, and you can just log the different things. All right, so for our if statement, we're going to do if the crosshair ID is greater than 0. So if we're actually looking at an entity, because keep in mind that CSGO, that there has to be someone you're looking at, obviously, and the max amount of people on the team is going to be 32. So this is what we're going to do. If it's greater than 0, and if crosshair ID is less than 32. So that's our check right there. We're also going to do another check just so we don't end up shooting our teammates. So and local team, again, exclamation point means not, is not equal to the crosshair ID, crosshair team, sorry. So that's a simple check right there. And then right here, this part is optional. This is why I put this in a nested if statement. So we'll do get async key state vk underscore menu. So we have to hold down the menu key, and keep in mind the menu key is actually the alt key. And the reason I do this is you don't always want to be with your triggerbot on, so you can just hold down the alt key and triggerbot is going. But if you don't like that, you can take that out, obviously. And right here, we actually have our mouse events. So mouse events, think when you click, you push the mouse down once, and then you push it up. So we had those two right there. And if you feel like it is going too fast, you can put a sleep in here. And you can put the amount of milliseconds you want to sleep in between, you know, each iteration. You might experience some lag if you don't have that, but we're risky, so we're not doing that for right now. All right, this does look good. You might need to build it and then go to that build location and run it as an administrator. This really just depends on if you're already running the computer as an administrator. But let's actually head into a offline matchmaking to test this out. Alright, so we are launched up. Make sure that you don't pause this. So if you do something like this, it'll actually pause the console. So just press enter or space to continue it. So let's go find an enemy. Let's test this here to make sure we aren't shooting our own teammates. I'm holding down Alt and I'm not shooting my teammates. So that is a good sign. Oh, and right there, you can see my computer is actually having a hard time since I'm clicking so fast. I might need to go through and put in that sleep. Yeah, you can see right here. Oops. It's going crazy. So we'll end that right there. Alright, there we go. We'll come over here and we'll actually put this sleep on. We'll set this to 100. And keep in mind this is in milliseconds, not seconds. And you can see it's working, so I'm looking at them, but then I hold down Alt and it starts shooting. Feel free to experiment with that sleep value so you can get it as low as you can with your PC's performance. And congrats, it works. So if you have any issues with this, feel free to head over to the Discord. There will be a link in the description. Or go on gamereversal.club, GRC, and create a post. Anyways, peace out.